All right, so now that we have looked at social sharing, let's talk a bit about who shares content. To answer the question, people share content. We all share content, and there are various ways for why we all share content. So it might be knowledge related based on our ego. We might be trying to share content so that fans can have access to that. There might be some reward associated with the content being shared. And of course, people share content to establish who they are. So they want to increase their likes, they want to showcase their personalities, and for various causes. So essentially, there are a variety of reasons why people share content. For some of us, we just want to stay connected to friends and family. Others want to show off their accomplishments, share their opinions. For businesses, they might want to create brand awareness or drive traffic to their website. And then there are those people who would like to spread awareness about current events or causes that they really care about. So at the bottom line is we all share content for a variety of reasons. One thing to remember is that when sharing content, you first need to grab the attention of your target audience. So this is critical to the success of your strategy. So you first need to grab their attention. Social sharing is tied to the gap theory of curiosity, and this theory suggests that people are naturally curious. Therefore, we have a compelling need to fill gaps in our knowledge. This is why we want to watch movies until they end. This is why we are eager to follow up on advertising teasers and so forth, because we want to fill that gap in our knowledge. Hence, we go searching for content to help us fill that gap or that need. If you take a closer look at the current slide, what you will see are 6 paid promoted stories with sensational headlines. Now, advertisers and newspaper editors, for example, they're aware that human beings are naturally curious, and based on the tenets of the gap theory of curiosity, they have develop this style of writing, or what we will call, or what we call today, clickbait, because they know that curiosity will generate clicks for their papers or their brands. And when you talk social sharing in general, this is how you will pull upon theories, right, to determine or to help your strategy be better. So you know that humans are curious, right? And as a result of that, you create content that people will be interested in. So you first grab their attention. But in order to create content that people want to share, you want to create that gap. How do you do that? You can use a question, you can use teasers, you can use part of the story. So you're not necessarily using that informational part, you're using the more sensational aspect of the story. And you're also going to use information that is not necessarily factual to create that gap. But your content must also be easy to share. So if you intend to share, you want to make the content easy to share. It should be so simple that your grandmother could share it, right? So someone, an elderly individual, could share the content. Now, you want to include in the content that you've created links to your social media channel, because the bottom line, you want to ensure that there is some form of conversion. You also need to figure out what works best for your audience and your site. So the audience for each brand will be significantly different. So you have to figure out what works best for your brand in terms of social media. And you want to do a bit of A/B testing. So you want to ensure that your links and buttons are in the right place, they're accessible, and that they actually work prior to releasing your content to your audience. When we talk social sharing, we also need to think about relevancy. So what is it about your brand that it should be or is interesting to your audience, right? You want to be specific about this, and you want to share the differences. Now remember, great content plus what my audience wants equal sharing, and not just sharing, but effective sharing. As you work to create your own content, it's important to keep top of mind that not all content is created equal. Some content is readily shareable, such as home, lifestyle, entertainment content, whereas some content is just harder to share. So, for example, tech content. And sometimes, if you're selling content that, it has a very specific niche of people, that might be a little bit harder to share to a wider cross section of people. So, for example, if you're selling tires, products that are not necessarily readily shareable. Now, why should people share your content about tires? These are things that you have to think about. And as a result, you'll have to reorient what your content strategy looks like. On this slide, I've provided the top 10 topics to share on both Twitter and Facebook. You can go ahead and do some research to find out what are the top 10 topics to share on your other social media networks. Now let's talk about some of the characteristics that shareable content have in common. The first characteristic is that shareable content should be simple. It should be easy to remember. The point is, you only have about 8 seconds to create an impression on social media and to get that share that you're looking for. One effective campaign that I must mention here that uses simple and easy to remember strategy is Share a Coke. Now, Share a Coke was the #1 trending global hashtag at the time of the campaign. And with the campaign, Coca-Cola gained 25 million followers. And they saw a 2% increase in soft drink sale. There was also an increase in Coke consumption from 1.7 to 1.9 billion servings per day. So when you think your social media strategy, you need to think about how can I make my content simple so that it is easy to share. Shareable content must also be unexpected. Essentially, if your content surprises your audience, then it sparks interest, right? You want your audience to want to see and share the content. Another characteristic is that shareable content must be concrete, right? So it should be something that people can actually visualize. So as you work to create your own content, you need to think about the visual aspect of the content. Is it something that will be memorable for your audience? Shareable content must also be credible, right? Are your claims believable? Right? These are things that you must Shareable content must also be credible. Are your claims believable? Are they convincing enough? This is something that you must keep top of mind as you work to create your own content, your social media strategy this semester. But what are some of the things that helps to make your content credible, right? Is there living proof? Can you see it? Do you have statistics to back up your claims? So for example, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Trident to the patients who chew gum. Is there also social proof? Is this something that is acceptable? Is there word of mouth that actually supports the claim that you are making? One of the characteristics that is generally missed by your branding experts, social media strategists, and advertisers is the emotional characteristic. Now, when creating content, you must think about or ask the question, can your audience connect emotionally with your content? Can they relate to the content? This is a big one, and this is generally one of those characteristics that I say you should think about first. But most importantly, you have to use your content to tell a story. Keep in mind, we are in the business of storytelling. Stories sell products. Stories move people. People will always remember your stories. Now, research has definitely shown that stories are more likely to affect us emotionally. So when you think of, for example, your Budweiser commercials and so forth, what are the stories being told in that commercial or those commercials, or even your favorite commercials, the ones that are memorable for you? Reflect on the stories that are being told. Thank you all for listening to the lecture this week. Just a few reminders. Your defining an audience assignment is due this week. That is the assignment where you'll need to use the tool Simply Analytics to decide on your target audience. You need to know who those people are. I need a total number. Take some time to review the rubric for the assignment. Also, I shared a few weeks ago in the announcement an example of what your submission should look like. I shared a student example. So go back through the announcements to ensure that you take a look at that example before submitting your own work. In addition to that assignment, your competitive analysis assignment will be due on March 26th. As a reminder, there will be no extensions on these two assignments because they were assigned weeks in advance. Now, the final reminder is the academic honesty policy. I would like to implore you all to take a moment to review the policy. In recent weeks, I've seen an increase in the number of assignments or submissions where there are clear and distinct plagiarism issues. That is not accepted in this class, and you will receive an automatic 0 where there are instances of plagiarism. So again, you can find the link to the academic honesty policy in the syllabus. Take some time to review that. And I hope you will all have a wonderful week. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I will respond to you via email or we can set up a meeting. Have a great rest of your week.